we have Ms. Stuti Kakkar as our keynote speaker with us today. Ms. Stuti Kakkar was an IAS officer 1978 batch and retired as the chairperson of the National Commission for the Protection of Child Rights. Srimati Kakkar has worked extensively in the areas of social justice and empowerment, information and broadcasting, and industrial development, including several years in the MSME sector, both in the state and the central government. She is particularly well known for her contribution to the social sector, including the protection of child rights and empowerment of persons with disabilities. As Secretary to the Government of India, she established the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Government of India. Under her leadership, the department's innovative Niramaya scheme, that is the scheme for health insurance scheme for persons with autism, cerebral palsy, mental retardation, and multiple disabilities, was awarded the Times of India Social Impact Award in 2009. Drawing on her vast experience of the SME sector, she consistently strived for the economic empowerment of the vulnerable and marginalized section of the society. She firmly believes that it is the SME and the Khadi sectors which hold the key to elevation of poverty of the country. During her tenure as chairperson NCPCR, she therefore initiated a collaboration with KVIC to set up a looming and weaving center in Delhi's Children Home for Children in Conflict with Law for the economic as well as mental well-being. Srimati Kakkar served as Joint Secretary and then Additional Secretary to the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, along with Director of the Indian Institute of Mass Communication. She was the key driver for the formulation and implementation of several policy measures to strengthen the print media industry and IIMC in particular. She was also Joint Secretary in the MSME Ministry and CVO for both the Department of SSI and KVIC. Srimati Kakkar has also worked extensively in Uttar Pradesh as Commissioner of Jhansi, Commissioner and Director of Industries, District Magistrate of Ghazipur.
When I heard about this organization, I contacted them.
Okay.
I felt that this is the need of the hour. When I saw this calendar of crystal hues, and I felt that this is exactly what the NGO sector needs. About civil societies, I'm a very firm votary of civil society. I believe that without everybody pitching in for the development of the country, our country cannot develop. And it is the civil society who will fulfill this role, because in some sense, civil societies in other sectors apart from disabilities, I would say, are now maturing, and they are now peopled by professionals who are so well qualified that, and it is amazing when you see youngsters who are so talented and who are devoting their lives for in sectors which were traditionally, I would say, manned by government servants. Because in 1980, when I was the Chief Development Officer in Kanpur, there were not many people who were willing to go into all those areas. You know, there were such backward areas. It was Uttar Pradesh was my cadre. In some of the blocks, there were, people were living in very bad conditions. The BDOs had no toilets. They had no boundary wall. A couple of them had dacoities, that Ghatampur area where Pullan Devi came from. So it was quite a challenge, this community development. But today I see youngsters with foreign degrees, very well qualified people getting their hands dirty in a way. They're getting into the field, they're working, and my experience of the disability sector, I would say, was amazing. I've never seen more dedicated people, and the disability sector sort of created itself, because government was not in the disability sector, and then the civil society got together. A lot of them were doyens, who are now doyens, were pioneers of that field. I can name some: Bala Saraswati ji for the hearing impaired in Chennai, Mary Barua for the autistic children, then Uma Tuli, who created these huge organizations and found their way, and they are now providing a helping hand and providing expertise to people who are similarly placed. And it's amazing what people have done on their own. I had a similar experience when I was in Jhansi, because Jhansi is so far from Lucknow that no aid reached there. So there also people put up these NGOs. They sort of took everything in hand and started doing work themselves. And so they created organizations of great value. Unlike, I would say, other places which were nearer to Lucknow, which were nearer to Delhi, where people were there for government largesse and grants. But so my experience with the NGO sector has been very good, and I firmly believe that India cannot go ahead unless we government involves people, the energy of the people in its development process, because India is too large, it is too heterogeneous, there are too many places, people, it's as this, I have always said, that diversity is not in the human structure and body, it is all in the mind. Even today, there are people who are arguing against vaccines, and there are a lot of people who think differently. So keeping them all on course is a big challenge. But this was this COVID-19, pandemic, when they talk about the pandemic and what a problem we have. But think of the work that the civil society did with the migrants, and for providing them food, for providing them with water, for providing them with transport. It was all the people who got together. It wasn't government. In fact, I feel that the government should have extended itself more in stemming the migrant palayan, as I would say, when they're fleeing to their homes, when they had no work, they had no food. So it was the civil society that came together. A lot of my friends also were pitching in. They were providing food and other things. Now, when I was, today we need to think about civil societies and what we all can do together. We need to federate. I've had experience of, say, the disability sector, the child sector, and the rural development sector. And what I find was the disabilities, as I said, was wonderful. I mean, it was the most joyous experience of my life. And I'm so happy that I got this opportunity. Child sector was a little sad because a lot of NGOs, and it's one of the older sectors, because remember, orphanages and all came in first. But unfortunately, I mean, it's not, it doesn't have the same kind of quality which the disability sector said. And there were just too many complaints of child abuse and, trafficking of children from orphanages and all that. And the NGO sector really needs to look at itself. Then in rural development, my experience was limited to my state. And there I would say in UP, we don't have many NGOs. And there were not many. My experience was limited to Jhansi, where there were good NGOs. But again, I experienced a North-South divide. In North India, there are fewer NGOs. In South India, there are many more NGOs, and they are very professional, I would say. So this is one place where civil society, where NGOs need to look to themselves. Then we need, and I would request this organization to capacity enhance NGOs, especially in Northern India. South India is far ahead. And even in disabilities and other sectors, we need to, now train NGOs to think about the changing environment. I'm on independent director on a couple of companies, and they are also having problems with the frequently changing, I would say, the economic environment, the financial rules and all. But there they have this luxury of hiring talent from outside. Here we need to upgrade our skills because a lot of NGOs are very small NGOs in isolated places, and they are so busy providing services that they don't have the time to pick up these skills. But we need to, all of us need to know this. I had an experience of NGOs who took grant from government, and yet by not knowing the rules, they got into a horrible lot of problems. And donor agencies, whether it is government or whether it's a private donor agency, expects accounts. So we have to pick up these skills. We have to learn about it. I know it's terrible. I hate accounts and I hate figures, but even then it is a skill. It's a survival skill, I would say. And we need to pick up these skills. And we need to learn about all this, because if FCRA there are certain requirements, we have to comply with them. There is no way out. I mean, we have to live in the country. We have to abide by the laws of the country. If you want to run an orphanage, you have to get yourself registered under the JJ Act. If you want to adopt a child, you have to go through CARA. There's so many have tos, but kya kare? It is there. And it is something that must need. And last of all, I won't take much time of yours. There is one thing which I would like to remind all of you is when NGOs are talking, please talk in one voice. See, in the RPWD bill, when I was their secretary, Rights for Persons with Disability bill, we almost got it through in 2014. But and what had passed, accepting that every NGO of different disability was talking in a different voice. So I kept telling them, please come together, let us get our bill through. You can have your amendments later on. But if you talk in 10 different voices with 10 different demands, then the problem is you will delay the process. And that is exactly what happened. And ultimately the bill came out much, much, much later. And we lost so much of time. And when there are differences amongst us, then jisko kehte hain na, the cat gets away with the cream. That people play these differences out, and government and I would say bureaucrats are very clever at that. But